The amazing Digital Circus is closing its final chapter, and the way things have played out says a lot more than just a story wrapping up. Between the leaks, the controversies, Gooseworx's own words on social media, and everything Glitch has been quietly building on the side, there is a real question sitting underneath all of this that nobody seems to want to say out loud. Did Glitch get tired of Digital Circus and maybe of Gooseworx too? To understand where things are right now, you need to know how they got here. Digital Circus launched in October 2023 with a pilot that went completely viral, breaking records as one of the most viewed animation pilots on YouTube and landing on Netflix less than a year later. Gooseworx went from being a relatively unknown creator to being the face of one of the biggest independent animated series on the internet almost overnight, and the pressure that came with that grew at the same pace as the show's audience. What started as a personal project pitched to Glitch became a machine with millions of fans, theatrical distribution deals, merchandise, and a level of public attention that nobody who just wanted to make a cartoon could have fully prepared for. The cracks started showing well before the finale. The voice actor controversies, the debates over the theatrical window, the plane rock situation at Level Up Con where a YouTuber showed up to the Glitch booth and made racial jokes on camera, and then the leak of the full finale through a hack on a Brazilian dubbing studio. All of it piled on in a very short window of time. Glitch was putting out statements, striking content, dealing with refund requests from fans who bought theater tickets, and managing the public side of a mess that had nothing to do with the quality of the show itself. That is a lot of chaos around what was supposed to be a celebration. And then Gooseworx posted this on Blue Sky. I know people are upset with my response, which is fine, but I kind of just wanted to make a cartoon, and it's ended up being way more trouble than it's worth. I really just can't keep my heart in this thing anymore. It's gotten too much bigger than me, and I probably shouldn't be the figurehead of it. It is confirmed that Digital Circus ends with episode 9, and there are no plans for more. And reading that post, it is not hard to understand why. What is clear from her words is that Gooseworx herself is saying she may not be the right person to carry something this big anymore, and whether Glitch was already feeling the same way is something we do not know for sure, but the timing of what the studio has been doing behind the scenes is worth paying close attention to. Because while all of this has been happening around Digital Circus, Glitch has not been sitting still. The studio announced Game Overs back in January 2026, a new animated series with its pilot dropping on May 15th, and Glitch's CEO Kevin Lerdwachigol described it as Glitch doubling down on its push to support indie animation projects. They also have Knights of Guinevere in the pipeline. These are not small moves. Glitch is actively building its next chapter, and it is doing so while Digital Circus is still technically in its final weeks. Glitch's CEO called Game Overs an exciting next step for the studio, saying that when he and his brother Luke first saw an early version of it back in 2017, they were immediately drawn to its creativity and that working together was an easy call. That kind of language is what you use when you are ready to move on, and it is hard not to notice that it was all being said while the last act was still months away from releasing. The studio is not waiting for Digital Circus to finish before moving toward what comes next. So, what does all of this mean for the future of Digital Circus? The show is closing with episode 9, and Gooseworx has made it clear she cannot keep going the way she has been. The theatrical finale is still projected to earn between $10 and $17 million in its opening weekend despite the leak, which means the brand still has real value and Glitch knows that. But having a valuable brand and having the energy to keep building it are two very different things. And right now, the creative side of Digital Circus is in a very uncertain place, while Glitch is clearly looking ahead. Looking at the last few months together, from the controversies to the leaks to the Blue Sky post to the Game Overs announcement, it is hard to see this as anything other than a turning point. Digital Circus changed independent animation and gave this community something genuinely special, and that does not go away. But Glitch is a studio with a plan, and that plan seems to involve a lot more than one show. Whether Digital Circus gets a future in any form, or whether Glitch is happy to let it close and move the energy they built towards something new, is the question this community is going to be sitting with long after June 19th. What do you think? Drop it in the comments.